Hey guys, good evening. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Wanted to do just a really quick review of the zones and then discuss why I thought today actually was quite a difficult day. First of all, we opened up the day and we had the concept that buyers have been in control and that they would remain in control so long as we were unable to trade below Tuesday's low, right? We've been going through multiple days where we've been unable to trade below prior day's low, and that's generally a good hint that the price action has not opened up until after we're able to simply accomplish that simple feat of trading below prior day's low. And now that we have done that, which we accomplished today, we now know that we're probably going to head more towards, or at least look for the possibility of heading more towards a two-way market instead of having buyers simply inconsistent and total control on a larger time frame day basis, right? So the first thing that I like to look at when I come to the day is did the zones work on first touch? I worked very hard on getting these zones. As you can see, we opened just up at this 2029, 2031, and we rejected right out of the zone here. Hopefully we'll get a rejection here. Hold on one second. So we reject right out of the zone, right out of the gate. Then we rotate down. We rotate down from 2031 down to 2018.50. Top of the zone is 2020.50. That's over a 10-point extension, giving the zone even higher odds of working. First time into the zone right here, and we get a beautiful rotation up from 2054 almost all the way back to 2029, right? A 9-point extension down, a 9-point extension up. Now, that being said, it wasn't quite that easy to look at because you got to remember, up until this point, so there's two ways that I run the room. I run the room strictly from a zone-based application. I generally suggest that people not trade the first half hour so that you avoid getting run over in an open drive higher or an open drive lower. In the last couple of weeks, the first half hour has become relatively benign, and the zones have been working very, very nicely in that time frame. However, we will go back to a time where we get severe open drive higher and open drive lower, and in the first 30 minutes, the zones will be more suspect to breaking. But right now, in the first half hour, they're working very, very nicely. So that being said, if you skip the first half hour, this was your first trade of the day. You got a beautiful rotation up for 2 points. So if you're if you want just the highest odds trade locations from the way that I trade, you're just focusing on the zone. So we come up, we rotate back up. Even if we had traded in, this would be the second time into the zone. This is the third time to test this zone over here. So 1, 2, 3, right? And then this 2015 and a quarter to 2014 and a quarter. First time into the zone. The stop that I suggest for most people is 2 points behind the zone, right? From the front, 2 points behind that picture stop at 2012 and a quarter. Obviously, 2012 and a quarter does not get hit, and the market rotates beautifully, eventually all the way back up to 2024. Then finally, that only leaves one zone on the chart, at least below, which is this 2010.50. As you can tell, we came into this 2010.50. Now, two things you have to look here a little bit closely, right? From 2010.50, we hit the front of the zone, and we rotate all the way back up to 2013. So that gets you your first 2-point scale with very little effort. Even at the end of the day, again, I would not have taken this trade with 4 minutes left to go in the market, which when this hit. However, the trade and the structure did work, and if you look after hours, we came to a low of 2008. Again, the stop being 2 points behind the zone, and we've now, in after hours, it's approximately 10 in the evening, we've traded up to 20, 17 and a quarter, all the way up to here, right? We've re-auctioned this whole fully auctioned area. So now I covered the basics of the zone. So now let me go into why the market can be a little bit more complicated. Most days I can get additional scalps through this as I set the day up. Normally when we gapped up right to the top of the range. If you look, if we compress this, which I will right now, right? You can see that this was Globex high was sitting here at 2035, I believe. And as you can see, we've attempted to break. We've been consolidating for almost 4 days in a row now, sideways. And what I envisioned was that we would gap up, make an attempt at half gap, but if half gap held, I thought we could make an assault on this 2034, 36, and maybe even to this 39.41. My ultimate target on the upside right now is between 2040 and 2060. There's an open gap right above 2060. So we did get this backside test in. We did make an attempt to assault back up. It fell in. We then came all the way down to the open gap, tested Tuesday's low, and rotated about all the way back up. So first of all, when we get the part of the problem is if you look to the left, this whole area has been very well auctioned. So if you'll see on other days, we kind of get smaller rotations back. We kind of have this sing-song going back and forth, and it was just a little bit easier to trade. Additionally, right at 12:30 today, which was just after New York lunch, 12:30 Central Time, we had a Fed speaker. You can see that the market kind of got put on hold here for an hour starting at 11 a.m., and we were just on hold for the Fed speaker. And as soon as that Fed speaker spoke, the market rolled hard to the downside, right? And then after the news, we went back into this kind of chop and wait for almost an entire hour, and then we finally, and what this price action tells me here is what occurred was that we drove through, again, not paying any attention to the zones. And there was a lot of indecision that had started, and then people, clearly what happened, at least in my eyes, happened here is everyone saw that we were going to make a run for 2010, 2008, maybe even they were thinking 2006 or 2000, right? And they all piled in on the shorts here, and they got squeezed up all the way back up to almost 2025, right? Once the squeeze finished, how do I know it was a squeeze? Because as soon as it got exhausted, we had the responsive seller step back in and drove us straight to 2010. And then if you look in the 24-hour chart, we've now driven all the way back to 2017. So I think the way that it's set up, outside of just the basics, first touch of the zone, was actually a rather difficult day. And so this is going to bring me to my last piece of the day. This is the first day that I've really struggled to take a look at the market and figure out what the price action was trying to accomplish. On almost every other day, if you've been in the room, I have a fairly easy time of looking at the open and looking at midday, looking at the end of the day, and I kind of get a pretty good sense of where the market's going to go. So right about here, I realized I'd gotten a couple of trades. I didn't take my zone trades like I normally would. This is in the first half hour. I didn't think we were going to fade. I thought buyers were in overall control. I think I took a scalp out of this 20-20-50 area, but again, I only scalped it. And what I found at this point was, relative to the movement that had been going on, I had pulled relatively few points out of the market. And I was looking at the PA, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what the market wanted to accomplish. I really thought we should come down to 2010, but it was just, in my eyes, acting funny. Now, this is really important. When you're not comfortable with the market, for whatever reason it is, you don't have a sense of ease or flow in the market, stop trading quickly, okay? Stop and just watch and go, hey, is this making any sense? The only part of this entire day that made a lot of sense to me is when we got to 2010, I thought that we could rotate back up to 2014, 2015. As a matter of fact, you can look here in the on the private Twitter feed that I have, and this is again, we're at 10 o'clock at night. This was okay, so this is 8 hours ago. I would put us right near the close, right? I think if we actually roll over it, it came up. Okay, so this was 12:57, but that was 12:57 California time, which would have put us at 2:57, 3 minutes before the close. And I said 2010 the hard way because I thought that that's where we would end up, and in the morning meeting, that's where I thought we would get a responsive buy from. So, and then you said, my guess is we roll up right after the close and into Asia. And again, I posted that right there. You'll see it 12:58, and that's right when we were coming into the low of the day. This was my most prime location that I wanted for all day long. And here's my suspicion. I think if we had not had a Fed speaker, I think it was Lockhart that was speaking at 12:30 today, and I think had he not been here, that what we would have had would have been price action that would have looked like we simply would have run straight down. We probably would have gotten reaction off of each of these zones, but it would have looked more like a trend day down straight into this 2010, 2008, and then we would have gotten the hook back around to 2025 from the 2010. As it was, because everyone was waiting on the Fed speaker, the market kind of got hung up. Then it went on about its way of rolling to the downside and coming down and completing down to 2010. The last piece that I want to mention is when you get frustrated by the price action, and look, when the market V's like this, a lot of people get frustrated. Why? Because people wait for confirmation. They short late, they get long late, and they keep getting rolled over, right? When we were up here, I couldn't figure out why we were hanging up like this. I thought, well, maybe we're going to roll up to 2034, 2036. Now, I could have traded that, right? I could have said, screw it, we're going to 2034, 2036. And I actually wanted to emotionally buy this here, which is when I knew I was really in trouble when I wanted to buy there. And the reason for that was I thought, well, we're just going to break to the upside, right? This is V'ing. We've now got all the sellers trapped, and we're going to push. But my discipline says I need a rotation down to a key location to take a long. That part never happened. And what I did instead was at about 10:45, I left early for the day, and I took a very, very long lunch. Okay, as a matter of fact, I came back after all of this had gotten hit, and I really couldn't find a trade in this location. I really wanted 2010. But that helped me. What I did was I protected my emotional resiliency so that I could get back in and trade. And so basically, today was kind of a wipe for me. I was slightly profitable, nothing to write home about, nothing that I'll remember in days to come. But if I had made a mistake anywhere and I'd let my emotion take place, anything from the delayed open drive lower, right, to the V-shape back up, to getting hung up in front of lunch, to getting rolled over after the Fed speaker, to the kind of illiquid move back to the upside where they squeezed everyone up, because I thought we should have rejected in this 2020 area, right? I thought the backside test of Tuesday's low on textbook that we should have rolled over. If I allowed any of those things to frustrate me, I could have easily turned it into an awful day. And of course, I could have forced my hand anywhere along the way here and really gotten hurt. I didn't do that. And while I am frustrated that I didn't have a bigger day or the day didn't go the way I would have liked it to, it still went okay. And my read of the market was still very strong. So that lets me come back tomorrow because I protected my emotional resiliency. I will have the ability to come back in tomorrow, make money. And I think that's the most important quality any trader can have. So from a zone perspective, pretty easy day. First time into each of the zones, provided beautiful 2-point rotations where then you can move your stop to break even or net break even and have enjoyed some wonderful extension off of there. From a scalping perspective, this day was harder. I didn't think it was all that easy for scalping. It's been the first time in a while where it hasn't been very great for scalping. But the zones are on fire. They've been on fire for months now. And I would encourage, and again, these are aimed mostly at the guys in the room, I would encourage guys to focus on the first touch of the zones. They have been very, very profitable, both short and long. And I will continue to focus on those on day in, day out, in addition to the scalps that I call in the trading room through the course of the day. Anyways, this 2010 worked beautifully. It was a great target to have in the morning to look for a launch back to the upside. Mission accomplished there. Too bad we hit at the end of the day. We'll come back tomorrow. Guys, I'll have the zones posted here shortly, and we will just reset and do our best. So anyways, my name is Simon. I'm the coach at Trading Perform Coaching. And if you are trying to move from being a struggling trader to a consistent trader, I would encourage you to visit the room. I would encourage everyone out there to find a mentor or trading coach to work with them one-on-one. It'll make a massive difference in your performance on a daily basis, whether it is that you're working with me or you're working with someone else in the community. There's a lot of really great guys out there that can lend you a hand. This is very hard to do on your own and by yourself. Okay, so anyways, take care of yourselves, guys. Be nice to yourselves. Have a written trade plan. Follow your trade plan. I look forward to seeing everyone in the morning. Have a great night.